on. And we are recording with Dr. George Fareed for episode 739, and your book, which came out, I believe, in January and is now on Audible, which makes my heart smile because I love Audible. Overcoming the COVID Darkness by you and Dr. Brian Tyson, about really y'all's, I wouldn't even say miracle. It's miracle because the treatment we've been using has been so horrific, but not miraculous because you guys showed it really was just basic medicine in your ability to cure over 7,000 patients. And some of the numbers you were rattling off was, like Dr. Zelenko had like 2 patients that died out of his entire group. And, the only time someone would ever continue to get sick when using your protocol would be because a pharmacist left out one of the medications, and it'd be like cooking something and wondering why it's gross and realizing you forgot salt or something. It was no fault of y'all's COVID cocktail. And for everybody listening, as always, the link to the description, or in the description, the link to the book will be in there. The audiobook's only about 5 hours. I listen at 2x speed anyway, so I knocked it out before a workout. And as always, your Twitter will be in the description as well. But Dr. Fareed, could you maybe kind of go into the book and its importance and anything that I maybe am glossing over?
Well, no, I think you've adequately presented it. It's a chronology of our sojourn, my collaboration with Brian Tyson, the physician who established the All Valley Urgent Care Clinic in the Imperial Valley, and that provided from that program at that urgent care that I participated in the model for fever clinics. It should have been going on all over the United States, and for that matter, recommended around the world, where patients are brought in and tested and examined, screened effectively, and given the proper medication that they needed to suppress the replication of COVID-19 in the early period of time between 3 and 5, or perhaps as late as 8 days of the onset of the infection, such that they would be protected from going to the hospital, being hospitalized, being put on ventilators if they deteriorated with the COVID-19 pneumonia. And it provides all the information on how we accomplish that for now over 10,000 patients, with in 0 deaths in the patients treated within the first 3 to 5 days with the full protocol. And our protocol was geared based upon the work from Zelenko in New York and Raoult in France, and other studies that had carried out showing hydroxychloroquine was a very effective antiviral. And it's one now of a number of agents that are repurposed medications that have been around and tried and true and very safe. But what I'll be going to Paris, or participating in the next International COVID Summit at the end of this month and the beginning of April. And my whole message there is the mass casualties that we experienced in the United States were almost completely avoidable. It's just sickening. I'm a doctor who's been in practice for over 50 years. I graduated from Harvard in 1970, and I never dreamed that 52 years later or 50 years later, I'd be having to condemn the agencies that had ulterior motives and very bad decisions being made for the purpose of pushing forward a vaccine or a gene therapy, basically, for the masses of the United States and around the world, that proves not to be effective, not to be blocking, and to promote variants. And so these agencies and the Dr. Fauci and many of the governmental officials, Janet Woodcock and Rick Bright, and and then academicians that were bought off too, that had conflicts of interest, like Mandeep Mehra at Harvard, did everything they could to undermine hydroxychloroquine. And what I'll be presenting is the story of what we fought against when we were getting such great results and helping so many, but seeing the vast majority not getting early treatment. And among those were patients and individuals that would require mechanical ventilation and end up dying, or at least having agonizing recovery periods with long-term issues that they have to contend with. In any case, it's a there's tremendous evidence that was there at that time, March, April, May, that provided a rationale for using hydroxychloroquine in a cocktail protocol with zinc and vitamin D and either azithromycin or doxycycline. We chose to use a higher dose of hydroxychloroquine than Dr. Zelenko or perhaps more in line with Dr. Raoul. And it may be because of that, then because of the way we implemented it in our patients, that we've had such a great result. But now other groups have similar results, and we had these results, and we present in the book the statistical information on patients treated in the first year when no monoclonals were available. And in the group that just got the HCQ, they did extremely well. And then we added in ivermectin when data showed quite significant benefits and antiviral action as a combined treatment with HCQ and ivermectin, and using 15 to 18 or 21 milligrams daily of ivermectin for 3 to 5 days. And that was very well tolerated and allowed for a combination therapy, much like we use with HIV, to treat HIV with multiple medications that are antiviral to synergistically ensure suppression of multiplication. But in any case, so it's the information is known. I'm not going to be telling anything new, and it may be that I should just be more describing my own personal story of disillusionment with the government and with Fauci and with bad people that accepted collateral damage that Brian Tyson and I, could never accept in return for pushing a faulty approach of the gene therapy treatments with these mRNA and DNA virus vaccines that only do one thing, and that's promote the variants. The highly mutable viruses like COVID-19 continue to mutate, and they actually mutate against the monoclonal antibodies, so that the agents that we use are agnostics. They're affecting host cell processes that inhibit the virus, and the virus can't mutate against them to become resistant. But there are monoclonal mutants now that are potentially of concern to make those less effective. However, we did and do recommend appropriate monoclonal infusion in addition to the oral medications for most effective treatment. But it's interesting, I oversee a nursing home and medical director there, and dealt with their initial outbreak in June of 2020, when around the world, around the country, the nursing home patients were the most vulnerable and the most likely to succumb to COVID-19. We employed our protocol then with HCQ and doxycycline, zinc, and vitamin D, and then budesonide inhalation. And 95% of our patients in that outbreak recovered fully. And then recently, the Omicron hit the same nursing home that I'm the director of. We had no way of preventing that. I mean, we tried our best, but that just is so contagious, and 60 or more patients were infected, and we put them on our combined treatment IVM HCQ, and we repeatedly requested monoclonal infusions for these vulnerable patients. The pharmacies that were providing refused to do that, provide it. So they all came through, 61 out of 61, with just the oral regimen and supplemental treatments that were needed. But it just goes to show you'd expect the most vulnerable people to be the ones that would be high priority for getting a monoclonal antibody, and that completely let us down. But they all did very well. Omicron wasn't as hard to treat as Delta or Alpha or Beta or the earlier variants of COVID-19.
It's so criminal, the withholding of medications by, I mean, amongst others, by doctors, but by pharmacists as well, and pharmacies.
Yeah, I'm not sure what these monoclonals are paid for by the government, and the fact that they wouldn't dispense them for infusion in the nursing home really shocked me. But in any case, that we dealt with it, and everything worked out fine.
It's all evil. The suppression of all of that is evil, and it's not to make one of them sound more admissible, but I suppose it's almost like a war. It's like, if we go here, we're going to lose 1,000 troops. If we go here, we're going to lose 2,000. It's World War II. You're fighting Hitler. If those suck, you're going to take the one with less. It's bad that
the biggest crime was their conscious suppression of the right medicine that was there at the beginning, HCQ, and that these people who undermined it knew that it worked, but they had ulterior motives, and many were very conflicted, or really the pharmaceutical industries that back for these products were exerting so much pressure they couldn't change, and that it's collateral damage that they need to be held accountable for.
Yeah.
And then IVM got the same undermining, but it was later on when its results promotion was later than HCQ, and because of that, the vaccine had been saturated in many areas already, so they didn't have as much to lose, I would say, except for Merck, which had its mononuclear, which is a somewhat dangerous antiviral that we don't use very much, that they're trying to get clear full approval from the FDA for.
It's it's the suppression of the ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine. Like, that's bad in its own right. It's another level of bad, that the things that they were pushing, like monoclonal antibodies and vaccines, they then took one of those, and you can't have this one either. And it's just an absolute perversion of medicine in the truest sense of the word. And especially, and I've brought this up before, as have many others, but you guys pointed out in your book, well, not everyone has the time to dive into all of this. If you're raising a family and got some little kids running around, and you got to go put gas in the car and change a diaper, and the wife's pregnant, and you're worried about your job and working from home, and you don't know what's going on, and if you say anything otherwise, you get criticized and banned from social media, and then a guy in a white coat comes on TV and says, take this, it'll be better, you're going to trust them. It's the trust in the institution that's why they existed, right? Is you have these high and noble laws of the land that allows you and me. You're a physician, I'm a podcaster. You and I don't get on a plane and start pestering the pilot about, has he checked the turbines? We trust them, right? There's a certain level of trust, and that trust has been completely violated, utterly violated, and vanquished.
Right. In any case, it'll be interesting, this meeting event in Paris, where Didier Raoult will be participating, in the group in Marseille will be contributing, and then there'll be presentations from the top people from around the world to provide insights into where things stand and what went wrong, basically. And what I present from our book is really what did succeed and should have been made available widely and still will help when new surges take place. It's interesting, in China, there's a big surge of Delta
Mhm.
and Omicron, and I would think they're using hydroxychloroquine as a regimen for treatment, but I don't know the details of what they're employing there. But we might see again another outbreak in as time goes by, because the variants now are becoming endemic.
Yeah. And yeah, for future listeners, today's Monday, March 14th, 2022. I know that saw last evening that China's like emergency constructing a 6,000 bed hospital right outside, I think, Shenzhen, and they're halting all business, including the Foxconn factories, which produce iPhones, because they're claiming that there's a huge wave of COVID ripping through all of them. Um, Yet, and it's kind of the important question, and you guys brought it up in the book, and I love how you guys say, you know, in December 2019, China released COVID, and but you go into it and you have a note towards the end of the book talking about Fauci, and perhaps he was too busy being concerned with the fact that this was possibly man-made and bioengineered, and I think that's kind of the asterisk at the end of the movie that I don't think can be ignored. It's everything that's gone on is criminal in itself. It can't just We can't just put a bow on it and say that was bad, the end. As you pointed out with doctors and scurvy, as you pointed out with the opioid epidemic, thalidomide, Lucky Strike cigarettes, time and time again, big corporations have slaughtered the health of untold thousands and millions for the end goal of profit. And I think now we saw it on the biggest scale with what, over 800,000 deaths. And you guys are showing that you can cure with 100% success rate. And if it can be shown, and you'd have to have evidence, I have no idea how you get that. I'm not a prosecutor. I'm not in the NSA. I don't know. But if evidence arises that they knew what they were doing, malfeasance is one thing, malicious intent is another. I mean, and I know I'm a broken record, and I've said it a million times, there has to be a trial. There has to be a trial, or none of this means anything.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And so that's we just keep fighting for the truth and for what's good for people, and we can't accept what they did, what they inflicted, and the fact that they brought it down to make it so onerous for people like me and Brian to do the right thing, and for the sadness for all of the people that are not that deteriorated and died and or had long-term problems after COVID-19 is it's just unacceptable. And I hope that comes out of our Paris COVID summit.
Yeah. One thing you did mention about you guys keeping records for everything, and how do you think that will help in the future, at the very least, of uh of proving the need for a trial or a case? You guys kept records, and you guys were attacked for doing what you did, correct?
Yeah, yes, that's right. Yeah, and largely because the medical system and healthcare services uh, follow the guidelines of the CDC and the FDA and NIH, and they once they start once they moved in that direction, they were committed to attack people that didn't do what they were doing, which was nothing,
Yeah.
and just um, allowing the people to enter the hospitals and suffer unnecessarily.
What do you think about Albert Bourla coming out yesterday and saying a fourth booster is needed to fight Omicron?
Yeah, it's terrible, absolutely unnecessary, inappropriate. It's the these alpha variant, or the original spike protein, is not a part of Omicron, and it's not able to prevent the infection. And what they're trying to do is sell the vaccine. It's not anything that I would ever recommend.
Do you think that? Sorry, go on.
No, I would just say that it doesn't agree with science now. The science is that we have variants that are resistant, aren't neutralized by the antibodies created to the original spike protein. And for that matter, as you do more and more boosting, you're going to get facilitating antibodies that will actually enhance the infection. They'll do the opposite of what you wanted to have accomplished. So it's just it's very erroneous and not detrimental for that to be recommended.
Did you guys ever get a response from Fauci from the emails you guys sent him?
No, we never did. We got a response from Francis Collins, but that required going through the Senate to submit our questions to the NIH, and his responses were absurd, totally absurd. They're just documenting the trials they have proposed or underway, and nothing of really just indicating that they're standing by these faulty studies that suggested that HCQ did not work as an antiviral, and they are in clinical application.
Do you think that overall, though, and I know I've got you for 6 more minutes. Do you think overall, though, there was a positive side to any of this? You talked about how it completely shattered your illusions and faith in these institutions, but couldn't you argue it's a good thing because they clearly were like this, and what COVID did was pull the mask off? I don't believe that this all emerged, this incestuous relationship. I don't believe it emerged in 2020. I think 2020 caused the mask to fall off.
Well, I in a sense, that is good. I agree with you. And I agree that it's been going on in other areas for decades. And that if we can't address this egregious misaction, mistakes, and cruelty at this time, it'll be tragic, absolutely tragic.
For you and Dr. Tyson, it's kind of like right. It's kind of like a meme, right? Putin killed COVID. No, COVID's gone. Now it's just Putin in Ukraine. Mm-hmm. As a practicing physician, you're literally at your office right now. Is COVID in any way gone? In any meaningful way?
I think it is. It's not completely gone, certainly, but it's definitely declined to the point where we're not at all contending with it every 1 hour after another. It's just there are few cases that are being reported or identified, and we're putting them on our treatment protocol with good results. So fortunately, I hope it stays like that.
Have you and Dr. Tyson, have you guys put any thought about whether it's teaching, whether it's an unofficial lecture or whatever, a textbook? Have you guys thought about putting together a program or a lesson for medical students or residents about how to avoid because like you said, this shattered your illusions, which implies that you did believe in these institutions up until a couple of years ago. And, you're an experienced physician. You're not a bright-eyed, innocent, fresh out of medical school guy. You've been practicing for a couple decades. Have you and Dr. Tyson thought about how to teach just anything for it'd be like a 1 credit hour you have to take, but it's like, this is what can happen. This is like the political corporate involvement with medicine that it's not biology. You're not learning about cell membranes, but here's what can happen, and it can kill far more people than any virus can.
I know, Tommy, that's a terrific recommendation. I think that we will put our efforts in developing that, perhaps as a follow-up book to our present one. So I know we hadn't been thinking in those terms, other than what I'm
Sure.
planning to present at the COVID summit in Paris, and what others will be presenting then and in the months and years to follow.
Yeah.
However, I think we try to get the critical points in our book for the benefit of medical students and people in the medical field that haven't been dealing on the front line with COVID-19.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of like I don't know. The easiest analogy would be someone like Eisenhower, right? The logistician, the mastermind, 5-star general, supreme allied commander who headed over the largest amphibious invasion in the history of man, like who then rose to become president, and then after World War II, set up the nuclear bunker system to protect us from a future war. So he won the big war, and then he started protecting us from the future wars. And then towards the very end of his reign, he, in a way, was still acting as a general, and that he was protecting his people. So what speech did he give on January 17th, 1960? Beware the influence of the military industrial complex. And if you view it from just military, you'd go, this isn't a gun, this isn't a tank, this isn't a ship, this isn't a nuclear weapon, all things that escalate as he rose through the ranks. He's in charge of 10 men, 10 million men, upwards and upwards. But his final move, as I believe a military leader, because he was POTUS, was beware the military industrial complex. And although there was no weapons in his speech, although he wasn't talking about what he was protecting his people, the American people, against harm. Harm doesn't just come from bombs and from Nazis. Harm also comes from corporations at home. He would say that every fighter jet is robbing 100 kids of education. Every modern bomber is robbing us of 5,000 new brick schoolhouses. So it's, at first glance, it doesn't seem like it has anything to do with war, but in reality, it is his finest hour. And to me, that's kind of like what I believe you guys should do. You can teach them how to be a good doctor. You got to teach them, bedside manner, bedside manner. You got to be able to talk to them. You got to make sure, the ethics of prescribing the right thing, the ethics of, not belittling anybody, of taking everyone in. You have to treat the saints and the sinners. And that's all, disinfecting and the proper technique so you don't get anybody sick. But I think if we're looking like Eisenhower looked at protecting his people, whether it's war or giving a speech, I think that it would actually be the apex of the Hippocratic Oath. If
Sure.
you guys said, worse than, you're a doctor, you can be the worst doctor in the world and you could botch 100 surgeries and you kill 100 people. That's nowhere near 800,000 dead from COVID. So I feel like that would be the thing you learn at the very end, has nothing to do with biology or ribosomes or ganglia. It would be beware what can happen with that's what we get.
What should be the objective of a education based upon all this. I know we'll be focusing on that. I know Brian, who's running for Congress, will hope to use the government if he gets elected, which I hope he will, to accomplish this. And there's a Dr. Richard Fox. Do you know him? In Northern California? I'll send you information on him. You may want to interview him.
I'll make a note of that right now.
A lawyer and a doctor who treated COVID-19 and is running in Northern California race against a person who's a big supporter of Fauci, who needs to be defeated. But you'll find him very interesting. I'll send you information on him.
Please do. I'd love to get him on. I'd love to get him on. But
right. Tommy, I've got to go.
I know you do. I've kept you 2 minutes over.
No, not at all. Great to meet with you today, as always. And then I'll give you a recap of Paris once that's completed in early April, if you'd like.
Oh, please do. I'll make a note of that right now. Do you know what day you'll be back?
I'll be back on the 3rd of April.
All right. Well, I will put it in I will put it in my calendar to give you a call on the 4th of April.
Okay.
call Dr.
Great.
Fareed Paris. Thank you so
Yes.
much, Dr. Fareed.
Okay.
I'll
Tommy,
send you
good
the
to
yep. I'll send you the episode when it's up. Everybody, the book will be in the description. Please go follow Dr. Fareed on Twitter. And Dr. Fareed, as always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Tommy.
All
Take
right.
care.
You as well.